The movie opens with David introducing himself as our storyteller, the guy who tells it like it is. He explains that he comes from an island called Sneetchland, where the locals are divided between star-bellied Sneetches and moon-bellied Sneetches. The star-bellies live in the trees, the moon-bellies by the sea, and both groups think they're better than the other, so they've separated completely until this story changes everything. We meet Stella, a curious star-bellied Sneetch with big ideas and an even bigger imagination. One morning, she runs to show her parents her latest invention, kite wings, a backpack-like design that lets you fly high and see the stars up close. Her parents love her creativity, but insist that star-bellies don't need to fly. They tell her they prefer things the way they've always been, same routines, same traditions. They even remind her not to be late for star practice. Later at the practice, Stella joins other young Sneetches rehearsing a speech about why star-bellies are better than moon-bellies. When Stella questions how they can be sure if they've never even met a moon-belly, her mom brushes it off, saying they're better because they have stars. Stella can't wrap her head around that logic and keeps wondering what makes them so different. The next morning, Stella decides she's done wondering. She's going to find out for herself. With her pet monkey Bean, she sneaks off to the beach, which star-bellies consider forbidden. There she spots a moon-bellied Sneetch on a floaty boat. Her name is Pearl. Pearl is shocked to see a star-belly up close. She's heard scary stories about them having claws and fangs. But Stella proves none of that is true, and the two start talking. Pearl's got a pet crab named Dudley, who instantly clashes with Bean, but the tension doesn't last long. When Pearl notices Stella's kite wing sketch, she's impressed, because she's built something similar. Pearl lets Stella try her version of the wings, and Stella takes off into the sky, laughing and singing. They realize they have so much in common, and by the time Stella has to go home, they've already promised to meet again the next day. From then on, Stella and Pearl meet every morning in secret. Stella knows she's not supposed to go to the beach, but she loves spending time with Pearl. They trade ideas, inventions, and jokes, and the more they share, the less sense their parents' rules make. One day, Stella jokes that she wishes she could invent a machine that puts a moon on her belly so she could visit Pearl's world. Pearl laughs, but she's actually taken notes. The next morning is the big star celebration, where Stella is supposed to give her important speech about star-belly pride. Her parents can't stop taking pictures and tell her not to overthink anything, just say the lines she practiced, but Stella can't stop thinking about Pearl. Before the celebration, Stella sneaks away to see her friend. When she arrives, Pearl proudly reveals a surprise. She actually built the machine Stella dreamed up. It can put a moon on anyone's belly. Stella walks through it, and suddenly she's a moon-belly Sneetch. Now she can finally see where Pearl lives. Pearl warns her that it's risky. Her family would freak if they found out she's a star-belly, but Stella insists. The two girls take Pearl's floaty boat to Moonbelly Village. Stella is amazed. The food's great, the water's shiny, and everyone's so warm and lively. Eventually, Pearl introduces Stella to her parents and siblings, her little sister Polly, and her nosy older brother Pete, who calls himself Detective Pete. Pete immediately suspects something's off about Stella, saying he's never seen her before, but Pearl covers for her, claiming she lives far away. After a fun dinner filled with jokes and laughter, Pearl's father mentions the coming storm. Stella suggests they ask starbellies for shelter. Pearl's parents shut that down. They don't trust starbellies at all. Meanwhile, Pete vows to uncover who Stella really is. Later, Stella and Pearl sneak off again, sailing back towards the beach to work on Pearl's machine. Pete secretly follows them in his own tiny boat. On the forbidden shore, Stella convinces Pearl to modify the machine to give her a star so she can attend the star celebration that night. Pearl steps into the machine, but the star comes out a little crooked. Stella says no one will notice, and they hurry off to the party, unaware that Pete has seen everything. He realizes the shocking truth: Stella is a starbelly in disguise, and he plans to expose her. Back in Starbelly territory, the grand celebration begins with parades, lights, and speeches. Pearl hides with Bean in the crowd, excited to see her friend perform, but when one of the Sneetches on stage declares that starbellies are better than moonbellies, Pearl's face falls. Stella steps up to give her speech, but she's torn. Her mom tells her to just be herself, so she does. She ditches the script and starts to speak from the heart, but before she can say much, Pete bursts in with his parents, shouting that Stella kidnapped his sister. In the chaos, someone wipes the fake star off Pearl's belly, revealing her true identity. Both Sneetch groups panic, accusing each other of spying. As the shouting grows louder, a heavy storm starts rolling in. The Starbellies and Moonbellies rush to the beach to confront each other just as the rain starts pouring down. They argue about who's better and who's to blame, until Stella yells for everyone to stop. She says that stars and moons don't make anyone better, people do. She points to Pearl and says she is brilliant and kind and her best friend. Pearl says the same about Stella, calling her brave and full of ideas. Their parents aren't convinced, not until the storm worsens. Huge waves crash in, trees fall, and everyone realizes they need to work together if they want to survive. Stella sketches a plan for a floating shelter, and Pearl starts building it. They get the Moonbellies to bring their boats, and the Starbellies to bring their decorations. They stitch sails, tie ropes, and build a massive floating dome. A wave hits just as they finish, but it works. They're safe and afloat. When the shelter starts drifting out to sea, Stella straps on her kite wings, flies into the storm with Pearl on her back, and ties the shelter to a rock to anchor it. The plan works, but Stella nearly gets blown away. Pearl catches her just in time, and the two zipline back to safety. When the storm finally clears, the Sneetches open the roof of their shelter and see the stars and the moon shining together in the sky. Pete thanks Stella for saving everyone, and both families realize how silly their old rivalry was. David narrates that a year later, the Sneetches are living differently. They've created a new tradition, the Moon and Star Celebration, honoring both groups together. Stella and Pearl are hailed as heroes for helping everyone realize that no kind of Sneetch is the best. David closes out the story, saying the Sneetches finally learned that Sneetches are Sneetches, and the island of Sneetchland shines brighter than ever.